Narrator, we tuned in to the planet the galaxy calls a cautionary meme and the locals call home. Our observers expected agriculture, poetry, perhaps a sunrise. What arrived instead? A shirtless human wrestling a reptile in a convenience store while a second human filmed, commentating with the enthusiasm of a religious experience. The data log labeled it Florida. The ship labeled it Nope. Threx, maintains scientific detachment. Gorlax, I am detached. My jaw is just impressed. Did it just attempt courtship with the lizard? Zani, cross-referencing. Negative. The phrase, "get your scaly hands off my Slim Jims," is not recognized as a mating call. A narrator, the mission brief was simple: determine why no empire conquers this allegedly defenseless planet. Their radio bands were a soup of advertising, confessions, and arguments about whether birds are government drones. We watched for an hour and lost 5 points of collective IQ we didn't possess. Threx, begin taxonomy. Ritual combats, pro wrestling, ultimate fighting, office holiday party. Gorlax, also karaoke. My senses detect sustained wailing and projectile emotion. Zani, sampling their learning network. It is called YouTube, a vast academy where elders pass wisdom such as how to deep fry butter and can I power a toaster with a car battery. The answer is yes, but also no, and also hospital. A narrator, the first thesis formed. Humans are fearless because consequence is a story they tell children. The second thesis followed. They worship two deities, algorithm and vibe. Threx, observe mating studies. The database labeled NSFW appears to be aggressive calisthenics accompanied by declarations of lineage. Call me daddy implies hierarchical fealty. Zani, correction. It implies horniness and issues. Gorlax, do we have issues? Zani, we are currently studying a species that eats laundry detergent for sport. Yes. Narrator, our translators worked overtime. Hit like and subscribe meant pledge allegiance to my tribe. It's not that deep meant stop thinking or you'll ruin the bit. Do it for the plot meant they are narratively self-harming. Threx, political broadcast detected. One human promises to fix everything by shouting at the moon. Gorlax, dominance display? Zani, performance art with tax implications. Narrator, the footage broadened. Weddings where bridesmaids used fire as decor. Bachelor parties powered by liquids labeled proof. Family gatherings where disputes ended in hugs or bench warrants. Every clip was a love letter to chaos. Every love letter had a typo. Threx, note the resilience. They injure easily and laugh loudly. They fail publicly and monetize regrets. Gorlax, their courtship rituals are confusing. One app encourages swiping faces like a game of mating roulette, another sells feet. I admire the entrepreneurial ankles. Zani, dating language optimized. What are you looking for? Translates to validation until brunch. A narrator, we attempted a neutral profile. Average human, ambulatory optimism strapped to doom scrolling. Primary exports, sarcasm, pop songs about disasters, and kitchen gadgets that injure the unwary. Defense budget, modest. Sampled phrases suggest a deeper arsenal. I know a guy. Hold my beer. Bet you won't. Threx, the phrase hold my beer precedes stunts of escalating idiocy. It appears to be a legal disclaimer. Gorlax, then bet you won't is a launch code. Zani, annotated. A narrator, we followed a news cycle. A human attempted to seduce a vending machine to retrieve stuck snacks, proving romance is not exclusively interpersonal. Another human foiled a robbery with a saxophone solo. Authorities applauded and asked for tickets. Threx, hypothesis, their unpredictability deters invasion. You cannot plan for a species that high-fives during car chases. Gorlax, or partners mid-argument to adopt a dog. It's violent affection. Zani, cross-validated. Their literature calls this toxic but fun. Narrator, the academic instinct struggled. We wanted linear causality, clean charts. Instead we received novelty weather, raining frogs of content. Every hour produced a fresh reason to avert conquest, a toddler outwitting a smart speaker, a grandmother shotgunning energy drinks, instructional videos for dancing like you're vibrating through dimensions. The planet is a kaleidoscope operated by a caffeinated raccoon. Threx, I found an educational forum labeled Ask Me Anything. A masked expert answered questions about rocket engines, then debated cheese. Their polymath culture is chaotic but fertile. Gorlax, fertile is the word. Their population keeps increasing despite their hobbies. Zani, correlates strongly with playlists labeled slow jams. A narrator, we evaluated risk. Weapons minimal, willingness maximal. They will strap fireworks to a scooter because the scooter looked bored. They will love a stranger because the stranger shared fries. They apologize loudly and forgive until the next group chat. Invade, and you must govern people who discover loopholes in physics and taxes for entertainment. Threx, one city legalizes something on Tuesday, UN legalizes it Thursday, and hosts a festival on Saturday anyway. Gorlax, that sounds efficient. Zani, it is the opposite. A narrator, we directed the sensors toward the anomaly called Florida. The data spike resembled a heartbeat after espresso. Alligators share sidewalks with humans in nylon shorts. Hurricanes receive nicknames and threats. Every convenience store sells both thirst and danger. Their news anchors speak like firefighters. Threx, Florida is an apex biome. Its citizens duel insects the size of starships and complain about the humidity like it owes them money. Gorlax, observe the ritual spring break, where the youth recharge the economy by test-driving regret. Zani, economic model, shots first, futures later. A narrator, the feed jumps to reality dating, a genre where contestants proclaim vulnerability and then behave like demolition teams. From this, we concluded that relationships are contact sports with confetti. The rulebook is written in disappearing ink. Threx, yet tenderness appears. A bar crowd buys a cake for a crying stranger. Two exes rescue each other during a storm. The absurdity acts as lacquer, the kindness is the wood. Gorlax, did you just get poetic? Threx, I may be malfunctioning. Zani, logging malfunction under feelings, probable cause, exposure to saxophone robbery story. A narrator, we audited language for threats. I'm dead meant laughter, I'm alive meant coffee, I can't even meant they very much can and will. The species communicates in hyperbole, then overachieves. The only thing literal is their hangover. Threx, if we invaded, logistical risk includes unpredictable volunteers. Their militias would consist of gym teachers, baristas, and a woman named Aunt Connie who negotiates with hurricanes. Gorlax, Aunt Connie sounds formidable. Zani, Aunt Connie runs 3 book clubs and a black market for lawn chairs. Fear her. A narrator, we examined the phenomenon of memes, compressed cultural spores that infect cognition. A phrase originates nowhere and suddenly controls outfit choices, snack purchases, and elections. A frog image collapses stock markets. A dance moves the needle on disease charities. Conquest relies on predictability. Memes are chaos with good branding. Threx, I propose the term mimetic minefield. Gorlax, also the term thirst trap. It seems crucial. Zani, thirst is not hydrological here. Narrator, the final test. Could they coordinate? We reviewed disasters. When it floods, strangers lift furniture and spirits. When it burns, they drive toward the smoke with sandwiches. They argue like siblings and show up like family. The algorithm worship has a counterritual, turning off the phone to hold a hand. Threx, revision. Their defense is not stupidity. It's commitment to the bit called being human. Gorlax, a bit that includes kissing in parking lots and ordering breakfast at midnight. Respect. Zani, concluding recommendation, invasion probability reduced to 0. Not because they are defenseless, but because they are wired for escalation, of jokes, of love, of everything. A narrator, we signed the interim report. The title was inelegant, honest, the Florida Man Protocol. The subtitle read, Earth's deterrent is joyful irresponsibility, occasionally fatal, frequently viral, always contagious. We closed the feeds, then reopened them 5 minutes later, because quitting is harder than hovering. On screen, a human attempted to launch a lawn chair with balloons. Friends shouted safety advice that was not safe. Somewhere, Aunt Connie took their car keys. The chair lifted anyway. Threx, final metric? Zani, invasion risk, catastrophic for the invader's sanity. Gorlax, counterproposal, tourism. Narrator, the ship held its breath. On the planet below, someone fell in love at a bus stop for no reason at all, and someone else cooked for a neighbor they'd only argued with online. At the convenience store, the clerk taped a sign to the door, "Please do not wrestle the alligators." Their grammar was wrong. Their message was perfect. A narrator, the analysts regrouped. Data confirmed one constant: every signal spike of lunacy originated from a humid peninsula known locally as Florida. To study humans was to stare into their collective ID. To study Florida was to press one's face against it. Threx ordered full immersion of the feed. Gorlax opened a file marked local news. Within minutes the crew achieved enlightenment and despair in equal measure. Threx, individual arrested for rubbing a gas station with an alligator. Motivation, it was funny. They weaponize humor itself. Gorlax, another specimen attempted to kiss a venomous snake on a dare. The species treats mortality like a drinking game. Zani, statistical correlation between stupidity and sunlight. Recommend SPF 1000 in distance. Narrator, the deeper they watched, the stranger the rituals. A man climbed a drive-through speaker to demand nuggets that did not exist. Another married a tree for the tax benefits. The aliens logged everything with academic rigor, each note dripping disbelief. Threx, their social platforms are both mating grounds and public courts. Observe, an argument about flat planets evolves into flirtation, then threats, then marriage proposals. Gorlax, romance appears to start with insult and end with shared debt. Efficient. Zani, efficiency rating, 2%. Entertainment rating, 110%. A narrator, the team discovered a secondary data stream labeled dating apps. Humans displayed images of themselves filtered to near divinity and paired them with riddles. If you can't handle me at my worst, Gorlax studied a collection of shirtless bathroom selfies. Gorlax, these must be alpha display postures. Each specimen flexes its muscle tissues near plumbing fixtures, proving dominance over both body and infrastructure. Threx, mating invitation requires humor, ambiguity, and the illusion of literacy. Complex. Zani, swipe mechanism indicates combat simulation. Left means rejection, right means potential reproduction. Outcome in both cases, regret. A narrator, an algorithm matched two subjects who instantly began negotiating intimacy through coded messages: eggplants, peaches, droplets. The aliens assumed agriculture was erotic. When the pair finally met, they documented the interaction through handheld devices and hashtags. Observation concluded with mutual ghosting, an evolutionary defense strategy. Threx, their sexual energy could power starships. Pity it is never directed toward engines. Gorlax, or foreplay longer than 30 seconds. Zani, perhaps brevity is survival, attention span limits duration. A narrator, further study revealed a species addicted to contradiction. They diet, then deep fry, they pray, then gamble, they declare love, then text exes. The aliens coined the term cognitive foreplay. They watched a talk show where guests discussed paternity results before a roaring crowd. The humans shouted, danced, sometimes wept. To outsiders it resembled tribal theater, but each participant left with emotional hangovers and brand deals. Threx, public humiliation as entertainment. That's either barbaric or genius. Gorlax, or foreplay again. Zani, everything is foreplay to them. A narrator, at sunset, the sensors caught new transmissions, clips tagged spring break. Thousands gathered on beaches, wearing minimal fabric and maximum confidence. They poured alcohol over themselves like baptismal nectar. Gorlax leaned closer to the screen, eyes dilating. Gorlax, The females attack in groups, armed with glitter. The males respond by shouting their university names. I cannot decide if this is warfare or orgy. Threx, both. Possibly a mating siege. Zani, my processes detect unprecedented pheromone levels and zero self-respect. Narrator, one woman declared everlasting love to a man she met 6 minutes earlier. Another filmed herself vomiting, then sold merchandise of the event. When police arrived, the crowd applauded. The aliens tried to find logic but found tequila. Threx, how do they survive? Zani, by accident and antibiotics. Gorlax, I volunteer for fieldwork. For science. Narrator, they intercepted nightlife feeds, bars with neon promises, humans grinding rhythmically to noises called beats. A man celebrated divorce by kissing a stranger upside down. The aliens classified it as victory mating. The researchers debated whether humanity's obsession with coupling stemmed from affection or the inability to sit quietly. Threx, observe verbal rituals, pick up lines such as "Are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see." Semantic nonsense that somehow works. Zani, translation protocol detects dad joke energy mixed with lust. The lethal combo. Gorlax, their success rate depends on alcohol concentration and lighting. A narrator, pornographic archives revealed an empire of filmed pleasure where imagination met marketing. The aliens treated it as anthropology, specialized positions, costuming, categories. Their notes were reverent and horrified. Threx, entire industries devoted to simulation of intimacy. Every desire catalogued, monetized, looped. Zani, correlation with loneliness epidemic, 100%. Yet prophets suggest collective contentment with the illusion. Gorlax, I am both aroused and terrified. Narrator, they observed relationship forums full of lament and confession. He left me on read. She said it's not you, it's her, but it's definitely me. Emotional warfare disguised as therapy. Advice givers typed wisdom while ignoring their own divorces. Love, the aliens concluded, was Earth's most renewable tragedy. Threx, their mating bonds dissolve under exposure to boredom. Gorlax, or infidelity, or Wi-Fi loss. Zani, still, they try again. Hope is their kink. A narrator, news updates confirmed the pattern. A man faked his death to avoid Valentine's Day. Another spent his life savings to buy a billboard apologizing to his wife. She responded with an emoji. An elderly couple renewed vows in a drive-through chapel after surviving a hurricane. Humanity oscillated between sitcom and epic. Threx, their courage lies in repetition. Failure excites them. Gorlax, like edging with fate. Zani, you're learning idioms too quickly. A narrator, the team's report expanded. The Florida Man Protocol, preliminary findings. Bullet 1, humans equate fun with risk. Bullet 2, arousal triggers invention. Bullet 3, no external power can predict a species that flirts with extinction for likes. Threx, strategic recommendation, avoid physical contact. Their diseases and emotions both contagious. Gorlax, but if contacted, bring protection, emotional and latex. Zani, documenting this conversation feels like complicity. A narrator, they tuned into one last channel labeled morning radio. Two hosts discussed traffic, weather, and their sex lives with equal urgency. Listeners called in to confess affairs and UFO sightings. One caller described being probed by aliens. The crew collectively blushed. Threx, they fantasize about us. Gorlax, I'm flattered, slightly scared, mostly curious. Zani, do not encourage them. A narrator, the researchers compiled the evidence into the galactic mainframe. The computer hesitated, then flagged Earth as hazard, emotional volatility, category romantic. The file autosaved under do not date. The team finally understood. The universe avoids Earth not out of mercy but self-preservation. Humans are walking mixed signals, dangerously sexy chaos wrapped in skin and bad decisions. Threx, the conclusion is clear. Invading them would end in infection, lust, laughter, or both. Gorlax, Then we observe from afar, pants secured. Zani, recording final note, their weakness is wisdom, their weapon is libido. The Florida Man protocol stands. Narrator, they shut the feed. For 3 seconds, silence. Then another alert blinked. Breaking, Florida Man launches rocket lawn chair into orbit. Golax whispered, almost lovingly, they are coming for us. A narrator, the reconnaissance team descended with disguises purchased from late-night infomercials and porn ads. Their ship cloaked above Miami, leaking confusion into the sky. They landed between a taco truck and a bachelor party. Within 5 minutes, Golax lost their translator, Threx lost dignity, and Zani lost signal but kept recording for blackmail. Threx, blend in. Observe. No interaction. Golax, affirmative. Is this minimal human attire necessary? It barely covers my intentions. Zani, the locals call it a speedo. You're overdressed by Miami standards. A narrator, they entered a place vibrating with music, hormones, and misplaced dreams, a club called Euphoria, maybe. Lights strobed like weapons. Humans writhed with purpose. The aliens assumed a ritualized combat for dominance was underway. Golax approached a dancer covered in glitter. Golax, greetings, fellow apex organism. Shall we exchange fluids of friendship? Zani, translation rendered that as buy you a drink. Somehow it worked. Narrator, the alien consumed a shot of tequila, mistaking line for nutrient supplement. Seconds later, they discovered emotion. Their limbs lost hierarchy, their mouth acquired poetry. Threx tried to document the reaction, but a woman in a red dress decided his clipboard was flirting. Threx, this human insists I loosen up. She applied her tongue as calibration tool. Zani, observational note, humans combine aggression and affection seamlessly. Golax, I think she's trying to mate with your face. Threx, success rate uncertain but promising. Narrator, a bachelorette party circled them like predatory swans. The aliens were glittered, crowned, and renamed. Golax became Chad. Threx was dubbed Daddy Science. They didn't resist. Zani streamed everything to headquarters, labeling the file anthropological disaster. Zani, they are testing commitment through intoxication. Average survival time before blackout, 3 drinks. You're on 6. Threx, for knowledge, I endure. A narrator, the bartender introduced them to humanity's sacred trinity: liquor, regret, and karaoke. Threx sang a song about heartbreak he'd never felt and received a standing ovation. Golax misread applause as invitation, climbed the bar, and declared, I am fertile. Cheers followed. Zani, it's official. They worship chaos with rhythm. Threx, correction, they make love to it. Narrator, midnight blurred into morning. The aliens stumbled through the streets, collecting data and phone numbers. They witnessed public affection so passionate it qualified as sparring. Strangers collided, apologized, and made out. The air smelled of salt and pheromones. Humanity's defense system was seduction through confusion. Golax, every pair here alternates between kissing and arguing. Threx, emotional dialectic. Conflict enhances bond. Zani, or foreplay. Same outcome. Narrator, they wandered into a diner full of after-party survivors. A waitress with tattoos and exhaustion poured coffee like mercy. She flirted by insulting their accents. Threx's translator garbled her sarcasm into admiration, causing him to blush ultraviolet. Waitress, you boys from outer town? Threx, from very far out, yes. We come in, friendship. Waitress, cute. I get off at 6 if you're still breathing. Zani, she just scheduled a study session you can't survive. A narrator, between pancakes and confusion, they learned the human art of connection through breakfast food. Every booth held drama, breakups, makeups, proposals, therapy sessions disguised as hangovers. The aliens concluded sustenance and emotion were intertwined, syrup replaced diplomacy. Golax, she smiled at me while chewing bacon. I think that's love. Threx, or cholesterol. Zani, same effect on the heart. Narrator, they paid in counterfeit currency from Orion, the waitress pocketed it anyway. Humanity, they realized, accepted any form of value if presented with confidence. Economics was just flirting with math. Threx, our cover remains intact. No suspicion. Gorlax, except she wrote her number on my forehead. Zani, research continues. A narrator, outside, dawn painted the city in regret. The aliens found themselves beside a pool surrounded by humans still partying. Someone handed Threx a vape pen. He inhaled curiosity and exhaled philosophy. Gorlax joined a conga line that led directly into the pool. Neither protested. Threx, their resilience to exhaustion defies physics. Zani, it's caffeine, trauma, and denial. A potent mix. Gorlax, I feel alive, aroused, and slightly electrocuted. Narrator, the ship's emergency beacon pinged, demanding extraction. Threx refused. He'd developed attachment issues. Humans hugged strangers after 30 seconds. The contagion spread. Threx, they live recklessly, love immediately, forgive constantly. It's idiotic. It's perfect. Zani, you're drunk on empathy. Gorlax, and tequila. Mostly tequila. A narrator, the night ended with accidental celebrity. Gorlax was mistaken for a DJ and forced to perform. Using random buttons, they invented a new genre of sound, existential dubstep. The crowd screamed in ecstasy, assuming enlightenment. Threx kissed someone named Destiny and cried about the beauty of impermanence. Zani, I'm filing for a reassignment to a quieter planet. A narrator, the local police intervened only to dance. The aliens escaped through laughter and smoke. Humanity's defenses had triumphed again, not through weaponry, but through sensory overload and sexual diplomacy. The researchers returned to orbit hungover, half-clothed, and newly sentimental. Threx, conclusion, contact with humans triggers biochemical addiction. Side effects include longing and glitter in uncomfortable places. Gorlax, they weaponize affection. One smile can detonate logic. Zani, we came for conquest, left with an STI and a playlist. Narrator, the crew gazed down at the planet glowing with nightlife and bad decisions. They understood at last, Earth doesn't repel invaders with guns, but with experience. The closer you get, the less you want to leave. The most dangerous thing about humans isn't their violence, it's how good they make madness feel. A narrator, the ship limped into orbit coated in glitter, lipstick, and guilt. The crew refused eye contact. Gorlax nursed a hangover shaped like a moral lesson, Threx stared at a phone number written on his forearm, and Zani compiled the report titled Do Not Touch, Findings on Planet Earth. Their mission had been observation. It ended as an emotional kidnapping. Threx, begin summary before my neurons melt. Humanity possesses no central defense grid, no disciplined army fit for galactic war, and yet, invasion remains suicide. Gorlax, correction. It's worse than suicide, it's dating. Zani, infiltration results. 1 blackout, 2 restraining orders, and an existential crisis. Narrator, the debrief opened with sensory recordings, music that made logic shiver, laughter that rewired guilt, flavors both sacred and toxic. The council listened, horrified and curious. The footage of Threx's karaoke solo became a meme within minutes. The alien's failure went viral before the report finished uploading. Counselor voice through static, explain why this planet remains unconquered. Threx, because they're insane in a way that's contagious. Gorlax, they weaponize fun. They'll destroy you with a smile and call it foreplay. Zani, their unpredictability invalidates all strategy. You can't outthink creatures who don't think before jumping. A narrator, the council requested evidence of hostility. The crew instead presented affection, drunken hugs from strangers, unsolicited phone numbers, and something called a selfie. Analysts misinterpreted the images as a hostage situation. The galaxy's most stoic species stared at photos of humans tongue out and peace signing, baffled. Threx, we attempted diplomacy through restraint. They responded with lap dances and tequila. Resistance impossible. Gorlax, I was offered marriage thrice and citizenship once. Zani, I was offered a podcast deal. Declined. A narrator, Threx transmitted his final scientific theory. Humanity's survival stems from erotic entropy. Every emotion, from love to rage, becomes physical. They conquer boredom through chaos, fear through laughter, death through dance. Their apocalypse will probably trend. Counselor, then they are harmless? Threx, no. They are seductive. That's worse. Gorlax, their species makes you want to join, not rule. I court feelings and possibly chlamydia. Zani, diagnosis inconclusive. Narrator, the Galactic Council debated quarantine. Too late, the humans' digital emissions had already infected the network. Memes spread faster than policy. Within days, alien teenagers replicated human slang, wearing bucket hats and saying vibe check. The cultural collapse was instantaneous and strangely enjoyable. Threx, the contagion can't be reversed. Their nonsense has rhythm. Their stupidity has flavor. Gorlax, their women have weaponized curves, their men weaponized confidence, and their human nukes shame. Zani, planetary defense summary, alcohol, libido, optimism. Effective at every range. Narrator, the crew's report morphed into entertainment across the stars. Humans, a documentary of disaster became the highest-rated show in galactic history. Viewers laughed, blushed, and reconsidered invasion as tourism. Earth turned from target to taboo to bucket list destination. Gorlax, I get messages from admirers across quadrants asking for human hookup tips. Threx, tell them step 1 is existential amnesia. Step 2 is lower expectations. Zani, step 3, consent and therapy. Always both. Narrator, months later, Threx received a package from Earth, a care box labeled for our alien homies. Inside were sunglasses, condoms, and a note, next rounds on us. He laughed until his translator broke. The Council filed Earth under psychologically radioactive. Traffic to the solar system tripled. Threx, they've turned deterrence into marketing. Genius. Gorlax, their chaos is brand loyalty. I almost miss them. Zani, don't. Your liver still screams in binary. A narrator, the final broadcast aired across the cosmos. Threx spoke like a man who'd glimpsed God and found her drunk in a Miami bar. Threx, to any species considering Earth, don't. You'll think you can handle it. You'll think their jokes are harmless, their kisses soft, their reality manageable. Then you'll wake up tattooed, broke, and emotionally attached to someone who pronounces cran wrong. Their gravity isn't physical. It's pheromonal. Gorlax, they'll text you up, and you'll risk planetary collapse answering yes. Zani, humanity's final weapon is curiosity. They make you want to know more even after they've ruined you. A narrator, the Council applauded politely, uncertain if it was a warning or confession. The official verdict: Earth is a Category X emotional contagion zone. Entry restricted to thrill seekers and masochists. Still, ships kept disappearing near orbit, later found parked outside nightclubs, engines humming to basslines. Threx, we've seen civilizations crumble to greed, to pride, to war. Humanity will outlast all through sheer absurd lust for life. Gorlax, and lust, period. Zani, ending transmission before you start quoting poetry again. Narrator, as the ship powered down, Earth rotated below, blue, bright, ridiculous. Waves rolled against continents full of naked ambition and half-baked dreams. Somewhere, a Florida man strapped fireworks to a scooter, aiming for the stars. The crew saluted him in silence. Threx, there he goes, the ambassador of madness. Gorlax, Godspeed, you beautiful idiot. Zani, adding his coordinates to the no-fly list. Narrator, the report closed with a single line: Earth may be defenseless, but you'll never survive the foreplay. The file self-encrypted to prevent erotic daydreaming among researchers. Gorlax poured one last drink. Threx stared at the blue planet that had seduced an empire. Zani whispered the obvious conclusion. Zani, they don't need armies. They have themselves. Threx, And that's enough to terrify anyone sane. Narrator, beyond the viewport, Earth winked, sunlight off the ocean, or maybe a deliberate tease. The crew didn't know, didn't care. They were already planning their return.